Hi, I'm Nina Deeb,
And I'm Mark Carvello.
and today we're going to talk about starting your garden.
And we'll be back. We've got an exciting podcast for you with lots of information to share. So we'll see you in just a bit.
The Nina and Mark Show. We will keep you in the know. Current events and special guests. Our podcast is the best. You don't want to miss the Nina and Mark Show.
All right, get ready to grow your own produce and keep yourself in vegetables and herbs for the summer and the fall.
Thank you, everybody, for coming back and joining us. Today's podcast is about growing your own food. And those of us who have never grown a garden, including myself, there's all types of exciting things to do with a garden, including eating it and pickling it and and doing those kinds of things. Waiting to get things planted. It's springtime, but however, it is too early to start.
If
But
you want to start anything from seeds, you can start it now indoors and then take it outdoors afterwards. But you don't want to be putting anything, you don't want to be planting anything until after the last frost. So the generally, like for Ontario, for this area, we normally say after May 2/4 weekend is you're usually safe to plant your plants in, and even some of
yeah,
the seeds right into the ground, because some some of your produce is very fast growing, and like in a month you can have radishes, and some of them grow so peas. They grow so fast that it's a very short season, very short time until you start getting harvesting your crops. You can start now. You can start some things inside, or you can just buy all your plants like little seedlings at the time, and go that route. You have options.
there is an organic process. It's Mother Nature working her magic right now. So you don't want to start the gardening. I read something about leaves, just the natural process of leaves from last year that have fallen off the tree. This is an environment where bugs are growing right now. It's creating an alkaline situation for the soil and everything. So you don't want to go raking your leaves and destroying that ecosphere of natural bugs that are using the environment to grow. So yes, it's a little early for gardening, but it's never too early to start your seedlings and get things on the go. So what do you think? What's your experience with gardening, Nina?
So I'm actually already harvesting onions and parsley from my garden. And what I had done is I moved the leaves over to my herb part of my garden. The parsley, I have several kinds of parsley and green onions already coming. So they're not the bunching onions, obviously. They're just onions that grow year after year. But I was making a tuna salad sandwich on Tuesday,
Hmm.
and I really wanted some green onions in there. And I thought, yeah, I don't have any. I thought I'll go check my garden, see what's growing there from last year, my perpetual garden. And there they were. And I cut those onions and I took them in, chopped them up, put them in that tuna salad, and they were delicious. So you can make your garden to your size. You can plant the right size for yourself. So maybe you need just one of each plant or a couple of each plant, or maybe you're going to do some canning and pickling, and you're going to want a larger garden. My garden isn't, it's not that it's very big. It's just, I do get a lot out of it. And I don't find it's very much work either. It really isn't. But I love being able to just, you get whatever you want out of there, just grab it right now. It's very fresh, it's ripe right now, and it's going to have the most flavor. So there's so many benefits to having a garden. It doesn't have to be huge. You can have your patio plants if you have a balcony or whatever space you have. You can grow some of your own food.
And I think that's the key. You mentioned you don't have to have a huge garden. You mentioned herbs. Just fresh parsley, things like that. It's exciting. These things are expensive to buy in the store, and knowing that you've already prepared for the year and you've got these at your fingertips whenever you need fresh parsley, or perhaps making a soup or something like that, and you have access to your own garden, And that is the beauty and enjoyment of it all, not only in the savings, but if you're expanding your garden and you want to do your pickling and you have beets and uh, whatever you think is best, and you've got some things that you've mentioned here, Nina, that are easy to grow. Like what kind of things should a person start with if they were looking at making a garden?
Um, Tomatoes, pickles, they're so easy to grow. There's very little to them. If you want to start with something really simple, and also like radishes. Radishes are ready very fast. If you like radishes, it's a quick food. Just plant them right in the ground after the last frost, and then you're gonna have radishes within probably 35 days. So that's a quick one. And the tomatoes, it'll continue to flower as long as you're picking. You want as you have the fruit coming off of your plants when it's ready, pick it. If you're not picking the plant will stop producing. So it's important to take things off as it's ready so that the plant doesn't think that it's done. So it doesn't take very much though. It really doesn't. Even as far as watering, like you don't have to water that often.
Hmm.
I use rainwater as much as possible. So I collect the rainwater,
Yeah.
and it is the best water for your garden. It's better than your hose water. Your hose it's been treated, but the
Hmm.
rainwater is the best thing to grow your garden, to grow your produce.
And you mentioned tomatoes. It's interesting because I had a friend that was into this, and she was telling me that it's particularly with tomatoes, you have to cut some of the leaves off. You get more produce or more tomato growth if the tomato is under the impression that it's not feeding its leaves so much. So a lot of that process goes to improve your growth and your produce. Looking back, I remember my dad being in the backyard with trees and doing splicing. Taking an apple tree and then splicing another version or a different apple into that tree, and it's just fascinating. And I don't know if people these days are so aware of all the little things that you can do and the variety of produce that you can get in your own backyard. I think the term is splicing. Uh, what are your thoughts on things like that?
You can buy the fruit trees already spliced now. We'd watch our grandfathers do this and
Yeah.
splice one type of tree onto another tree, one branch. And I have an apple tree that has three different kinds of apples on it. I have a plum
Yep.
tree that has three kinds of plums on it. So I don't need three plum trees. I don't need three apple trees. We're a family. We're looking for, enough for yourself, and plus space is limited having all these trees as well. So it's an old-fashioned farming method that works very well. And if you don't want to do the splicing, you can buy the trees already spliced with several varieties on there. And it's a great way of having a variety without having to have a lot of space.
I tend to think if you went to most people's backyard, uh, any type of maintenance that needs to go on, people are just, bare minimum. If I can cut the grass, that's what I'll do. So they find themselves maybe not taking the opportunity to plant an apple tree because maybe the bees are coming around too much and it's just annoying to have it in your backyard or whatever it is. But there's a whole biosphere that's happening in nature. We hear a lot about uh, the lack of bees that are coming to fruition in the world all the time because our plantations are changing and it's not providing the pollination and things that we need. And I know that we were talking about pesticides as well, and there's so many different alternatives that you can use in plantings around your gardens as well instead of um, using pesticides. And I think I read the other day uh, there's certain types of plants that you can just put around your garden that will keep pests away. They don't want to deal with that type of flower or whatever it is. So if you have ants or you have something that's impeding the growth of your garden, you can do these certain type of flowering plants around your garden that will is certainly a better alternative than pesticides. Like I mentioned earlier, I myself have not grown my own garden personally. I've walked in the garden, I've seen the garden, I've eaten from the garden, but I have not grown a garden. So I would imagine the first step would be to have good soil, I would think.
For sure. You want a sunny area. The first thing you want to do is choose your area. What they have now, and I actually, Sam got some last year. I'm excited to decide where they're going to go. They have these modular raised gardens, and I don't have a problem with pests. I don't use pesticides at all.
Mhm.
And I don't have a problem with pests. I don't have a problem with slugs or anything. Like there's nothing eating my garden. Even the bunnies, like my garden it's a fenced in area. But I don't need to treat for pests. I do get my fruit trees do get caterpillars on them in the
Mhm.
spring, and I watch for that, and then I cut the caterpillars right out. So I don't treat the whole tree. I just
Yeah.
when I watch the trees, I'm inspecting them, and I just cut the caterpillar cocoons right out when I see them, and I do get caterpillar cocoons. And the other trees around me as well, I look for them. So that's what I do. Like I put the eggshells in my soil, which is supposed to be good for slugs, but I don't see slugs. Like maybe it's helping, maybe it's
Mhm.
not. Like maybe because I'm doing these things. I do plant marigolds. I do plant a lot of mint. I do plant basil. I plant the plants that are supposed to deter. The marigolds, I think a lot of different animals just don't like the smell of them. The
Mhm.
same with the mint. They're not loving the mint
Yeah,
too much. So maybe that deters them, but there's lots of bunnies around. Like once
sure.
in a while, I'll see like a tomato that's got a couple bites out of it or something, but I just don't feel like when you're in your garden often, because I like going in there, you know if you're having guests, if there's guests coming
Mhm.
in there, and I just don't see much of anything. I don't feel like I'm losing much of anything in my garden. So I don't treat. I don't treat. I just use natural deterrents. That's it.
Well, there's a whole lot of information that's out there regarding gardening, and there is a lot of people learning little aspects of off-grid living. You know, it's fascinating how you can use pretty well everything at your disposal to nurture the soil. And I don't want to bring it up, but I'm going to say it. You could use feces, you could use urine. Apparently, these things are great for soil, and they're part of the recycling system of Mother Nature. You know, these are things that I've had discussions with a friend of mine who is uh, utilizing this in off-grid living. So it. Also, another thing I learned is just tree seeds. You know, your sunflower seeds and your trees. You can actually grow trees from seeds of trees. You know, as ridiculous and simple as that sounds, a lot of people don't use, you know, they're off to the box store and they're buying trees or whatever. So much to discover out in the natural uh, ecosphere of how everything works together to balance and sustain an environment with Mother Nature and do it naturally and do it without chemicals. And you know, it just seems like the right thing to be doing these days on so many levels. And I guess the for me, in my mind, I envision, wouldn't it be nice if everybody's front yard was a big garden? Do you know what I mean? There would, you know, if there would be so much food, it would be bountiful, you know, if you just walk by your neighbors and, oh, I was out of carrots in my front yard, so they've got some, and you know, everyone shared this communal garden feel with everybody. That'd be wonderful. We'd go back to the days of a clothesline in the backyard with the fresh lemon scent in the air, and you know, things being more natural. So I don't know where I
So
went with that, but any thoughts?
you made an interesting point about the communal gardens and the communal trees. So we have community gardens in Ontario, And the difference between our community gardens, so somebody has an area that they're gardening and they plant what they want and they go back. Like it's not for the community to help themselves. It's not for the community to just take what
Mhm.
they like. Somebody's actually doing that gardening
Yeah.
in their area. So overseas, in Europe, what I found in some countries is, you know how you have the city tree here, like you're walking down the street and you have the city trees, the municipal trees that have been planted.
Mhm.
In some countries, those trees are fruit trees and you can help yourself. Like it's actually the municipal tree. It's a community tree. So they have like their rules are you can always help yourself to an apple or an orange or whatever kind of fruit tree it is. It's just a variety of different trees going down the streets. And as you're walking to work or school or whatever, like you talk about the breakfast program here. Well, in Europe, there are breakfast programs on your way to school in some of these countries. You're walking to school, you're a kid, you're grabbing an apple, grabbing this, whatever happens to be ready, and you're welcome to do that. So that's the version. So instead of planting something that doesn't give us any fruit, like it's just good for looks, that's a great method. I love that method. But then when Europeans come here and they hear about our community gardens, it's a little confusing. And then I see people get very upset saying, oh my goodness, someone took my this or took my that from my garden. And I
Mhm.
wonder, I think, is this someone that has come from a country that has this community gardening, community trees, and doesn't understand that the community part of it isn't really like anyone can help themselves.
Well,
So I like
I
that a
think
lot.
I I do too. I think you brought up an excellent point and something that should be utilized at this point, you know, to reconsider and rethink the way that we look at trees in in the city. You know what I mean? If we did adopt that model to have actual fruit trees along our streets and whatever it is, I mean, it's the solution. It's something that should be happening and should be adopted and utilized in our areas, is particularly because food sources are, they need to be there for people. If you can walk by and have a city tree and pick an apple and eat it and have a healthy choice, why not? I'm all for that for sure.
It's a lot better than a tree that gives us, it might give
Yeah,
us, well, if it's given us blossoms, it's given us something at least aesthetic or that
yeah.
smells good. But it's even better if it can give us blossoms and those blossoms become fruit. That's even better. You can pick and eat. Everyone can just pick and eat, and then the composting. So like as far as like what you're saying, like about the things you can add to your soil to enrich your soil, I do add things to the soil because it's things that you have in your house anyway. So I'll add it to my soil. I do add every year I'm adding manure. So like you'd said about the re-energizing that you want to re-energize the soil, you want to add things back in. And like your manures are cattle manures, like they're vegetarian. So it's like it goes through their system and then it's very good for recharging the soil again. Eggshells are
Hmm.
great for slugs. I don't have a problem with slugs, but I still throw them in my garden anyway. Ashes, I put ashes in there, coffee grounds. So I add
Yeah.
lots of things in to get the maximum out of my produce. Your produce is you're growing the produce and you're picking it when it's ripe, when it's at its best time. When you take something from your garden and you eat it right away, there'll be nothing as tasty or delicious as that. Like from within minutes, you're eating something that was just at its prime. It's at its prime, maximum flavor, maximum health benefits. It's perfect. But the easiest thing is to grow herbs. You can have a tiny little herb garden indoors and start
Mhm.
with that. Start with that, and then you'll see there's not much to it. You can almost ignore it, and it just continues to grow.
I would imagine even if you're in an apartment with a balcony or something like that, you could at least get a planter box and have fresh herbs growing. That's really inspiring. I think this is exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to get myself a little planter box out back here and I'm going to grow some fresh herbs.
I have
Yeah,
seeds for you.
it's
You don't even have to
inspiring.
get the seeds. You don't even need the
Yeah.
seeds. I have them all. So
Oh, really?
we'll you just yep, yep. Just get your and we'll just put a bit of everything in, basil, parsley,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. So you don't have to buy anything. And that's the other thing too. Like with the, I give away a lot of plants. I give away so many plants because I'll have too many or I'll be thinning. Like during in 2020. Sam put up 3 flagpoles in our backyard and he had like a garden around it. There's nothing in that garden. I thought, what am I put in that garden? Like his flagpoles look so good and I want to put something kind of cool there, right? And
Mhm.
I wound up getting a bag of sunflower seeds, organic sunflower seeds from the grocery store, like for you to eat, but they're not, they're just raw,
Yeah.
organic, shelled sunflower seeds. And I grabbed those handfuls of them and I threw them into this garden and I just watered it. And hundreds of sunflowers came up, hundreds. And I was taking these and putting them in little cups and putting them out on the trail at the front of my house and at the back of my house saying free sunflowers, help yourself. And then throughout my neighborhood, there were so many sunflowers that year, and I would be laughing every time I
Yeah.
see them. I'm thinking they're probably the ones I give away. I gave
It's a
away so
beautiful
many.
thing. It's a
People would
beautiful
just,
thing, and that
I just kept refilling them, and then you look and say, "Oh, they're all gone." Put a few more out, and just a sign there, free sunflowers, help yourself. What was it? It was a bag of sunflower seeds that I just threw them down. I can't use them all. You wind up having too many, but you just give them all away, right? Give them away. Cost you nothing to be kind. Cost you very little to be to cheer people up, and then you see all these bright flowers everywhere cheering everybody up.
it's for that minimal effort and for the communal experience, and the abundance, like just a small thing, a gesture like that creates so much abundance. That type of communal feel is something perhaps we're missing a little bit. Bring back a little bit of nature and some organic food is the way to go. And I know in some big cities, they've adopted lots of ideas for rooftop gardening. They're planting grasses on their rooftops to help with heat in the environment and all these kinds of things. So, lots of lots of information out there on getting your garden started and ideas for sharing food. Um, it is exciting, and I'm really excited to get my herb garden going. That'll be great. Like fresh basil. Just
Oh, I
is
have,
it is it basil or
yes.
basil?
I
How do
think
we
you can
pronounce
say
it?
either. It smells so good. It smells so
Yeah.
good. Oregano, like that's oregano, basil, parsley, mint. Those are always great to have, and it's just small amount of space, and they
Yeah.
grow very well, and they'll come. I think most of them come back year after year. That's been my
Yeah.
experience. Like even the parsley, every year I seem to have another variety of parsley added because I seem to add one. I can make everything. I can make tabbouleh out of my garden. I have everything except for the lemons.
Oh,
The
oh,
only thing I don't
goodness.
have, like I can actually go into my garden. I pick the onions, the parsley, the mint, the tomatoes, the jalapeno, I pick everything I need from that garden. The only thing I wind up having to buy is lemons and olive oil. But otherwise, like
Yeah.
it's one of the meals that I get from that garden all the time. I love it. It makes you feel so good knowing that like you grew this. You grew everything, right?
And it's so healthy, so healthy. When you talk about tabbouleh, it's like it's been so long since I've had something to, that healthy and good for your system for sure. And there's so many easy things that you can do too for planting. Like you could take a potato and cut it in half and throw it in the ground and it'll grow potatoes. There's all types of things that perhaps people aren't aware of. Maybe the younger generation, it's not something that's taught out, and we're a little disconnected from all this, from what our grandma and grandpas used to do, bringing their knowledge from, the motherlands and things like that, because it's such a close farming community, and that is it. is popular for Europeans. So much to learn, and it's such an exciting topic. You think, oh, the gardening's for the old folks. I know for me, even my niece was involved in gardening young, and it's exciting to see that that there is some youth out there that are taking advantage of it as well. So I do have a little story about my grandma. I think speaking of grandmas, she had her garden. She had her clothesline in the backyard, and I remember probably maybe 5 or 6 years old out in the back and just picking her split peas right out of the garden and eating them. You know what I mean? And she used to pickle her pickles. Is that, I don't know if that's the term or whatever it was. Uh, and it seemed so easy, and it was so delicious, as you mentioned, just to hand to mouth right there. No shipping, packaging, just right from your garden. And
Maximum
yeah,
flavor. That's the best part,
absolutely.
is that maximum flavor. I eat tomatoes like they're apples when they're from my garden. I don't do that any other time. Like if I'm buying tomatoes from the store, you're never gonna see me eating a tomato like it's an apple. But the tomatoes from my garden, I do, because they're not even, they're so delicious.
It's all good, and it's also good to know that you're the one, you're the master creator of this produce, right? You know what's in it, what's not.
Because somebody said to me before, said, "Oh, you probably spend a lot more than you think," and it's like my garden costs me about $100 a year. I know what it costs me. Like I guess if I'm using water that isn't rainwater, I use some, not much,
Mhm.
because I plan the garden. So I
Yeah,
collect the water at all my downspouts so that I can preferably not pay for the water that I'm putting in my garden. For two reasons, like I've mentioned, it isn't just that you have to pay for that water, as it's not the best water for your garden. You're better off using untreated water. Your
absolutely.
rainwater, your natural water is best.
I agree. I mean, if it's not good for your garden, then certainly not, probably not good for you either to drink it. It's just another topic there on water or whatever it is. But yeah, certainly for your garden, you try to nurture as best as you can and make it as simple as possible uh, for a really good bang for your buck. I mean, at $100, imagine the savings that you have, even in a small garden like yearly. If you were to go out and buy that produce and drive out to the store to get it, and like we were talking in one of our previous episodes with the shrinkflation, you're only getting a small portion of what you would get out of your garden for the for the price you pay. So definitely well worth it, and I hope our listeners have enjoyed our conversation today. And yeah, it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to getting my herb garden going.
I'm gonna
Uh,
help you out. I'm gonna help you
oh,
out with that.
you're awesome.
I actually, you know what? Gardeners, anyone that's a gardener, it's not difficult for you. And if anyone, like, be a buddy, be a garden buddy to somebody that wants to start, that's maybe a little bit nervous, or to start with something easy. Help people out, like you, Mark. It's like, I got the seeds. You don't even need the seeds. If you've got the pot, you put some good potting
Sure.
soil in there, and I'll give you the seeds. All you gotta do is water every few days, and we're good. You're gonna have your herbs, no problem. Do you know what I
Nice.
have? You did remind me of something, that saying that you can just grow the tree from the seed. I have an apricot tree that was grown from a seed from my neighbors, because it's the most delicious apricots I've ever had. My neighbors, they have a fantastic garden. Their garden, they grow everything. And I don't even need to have a garden, because they welcome you over. They come over anytime and take whatever you like, 'cause they have so much. But I still grow my own. But the apricots from their tree are so good. So my mom decided to plant a couple seeds, and the one has come up. And so this is going to be year two for it. I'm going to put it in the ground this year. But it's going to be, I'm going to have an apricot tree grown from a seed from my neighbor.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up apricots. I know a few months ago I was looking into some of the most healing foods on the planet, and apricot seeds. apparently is up there. It is like healing foods. The actual seeds, I don't know how you prepare it. I think you grind it, or there's something about apricots that's very healing and for the body. And to know that you could just take that seed and plant it in your garden and have it available to you, it's certainly the way to go, in my opinion. So, and you know what, Nina, thank you for being my garden buddy. I never had a garden buddy before, so
I'll help you.
hopefully today we have a lot of garden buddies that have joined us today and are excited about the plantings and getting things started for the year. We hope you enjoyed our podcast today. Nina, thank you so much for sharing your experience with gardening. Thank you all so much for joining the Nina and Mark show. And we hope you continue to watch our podcast. Thank you very much, everybody.
We'll see you again soon.
The
Thanks.
Nina and Mark Show. We will keep you in the know. Current events and special guests. Our podcast is the best. You don't want to miss the Nina and Mark Show.